All right, so we're going to have a look at problem 21 in section 5.1. And this is basically making sure that you are using your calculator correctly to calculate some compound interest and using the formula correctly. So you'll be given the formula. This is for accumulated amount. So this is section 5.1, number 21. We'll need our formula. This is the accumulated amount after a certain period of time. P is your principal. That's the amount that you put in. 1 is a constant in the formula. R is your rate, which needs to go in as a decimal. N is your compounding intervals. N is also used here in the formula. T is your time in years that the money is in. Okay, and then it says use the formula above to determine the accumulated amount, blah, blah, blah. Round solutions to the nearest cent because we have money. Assume there are 365 days in a year. All right, so if $47,500 is invested, so that is your principal. So we are going to put in, so I assume we're finding the accumulated amount. Accumulated amount is 47,500. Going to keep the 1. Our rate is 7%. Switch it to a decimal. Right now your decimal is at the end. Drop your percent and move it 2 places to the left. So you want to use 0.07. Right? Compounded monthly. There are 12 months in a year, so your N is going to be 12 because it says monthly. You also will use your same N up here, right? And it is invested for 11 years. Right, now this is a multiplication up here. So you can either multiply this ahead of time and keep it in your head, or we'll have to use a parentheses up there to do that multiplication. That will be up to you. All right, now we're going to go to our calculator and we'll turn it on. I am very cautious when I enter things, and I like to have a little bit more control of it than just turning the calculator loose. So I would go ahead and do some things myself. I don't trust it too much, huh? I would go ahead and figure out this 12 times 11. 12 times 11, all right, which is 132. And then I would start and I would work in that parentheses. So what I'm really doing is I am manually doing order of operations. So I would do this fraction piece first. 0.07 divided by 12. I would go ahead and add the 1 in the parentheses. That takes care of your whole parentheses. Right, and I'm just going to write down the number. That's kind of long. I'm going to use that whole thing so that I'm not getting too much round off error. But I can write it so that you have some down here. So 1.00583. And this 3 goes on forever. But if I don't clear my calculator, I've got all that in there. The next thing you would need to do for order of operations is you would need to do the exponent. This multiplication needs to be last. All right, so this answer I'm going to raise to the 132. Now, I had already multiplied that out. Now I have the answer to this. I'm not going to take it out of there. I'm going to go ahead now and multiply by 2. I'm going to write that little bit down. So this is what I did. So I have 2.15493,996. And then I'm going to multiply by 47500 times that above amount. So I'm just going to hit times 47500, enter. All right, and so my A should be 102,359.6481. They want us to go to the nearest cent. This is your cent place. You look one digit to the right, and 8 is going to push us up. So we should have 102,359.65. Now, if you don't want to be as conservative as I am, and you wanted to put more in your calculator at one time, you could, as long as you never hit enter and you're very careful. All right, so if you go ahead and start from the beginning, 47500, use your parentheses, 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12, close your parentheses. You're going to raise it to a power. You have math in that exponent position, so you need it in parentheses. 12 times 11, close that parentheses. It should preserve order of operations. 102,359, and that would round to 65. You would never hit enter the whole way there. You did have to take care of this piece right here. It had to be in parentheses or it would not work correctly. So the calculator did better than I would have trusted it to do. All right, we're going to work on using the same formula again with the second part here. And it says this time we have 44,000, so our P is different. We are investing for 24 years, so our time is different. Our rate is different, 4%, and it's compounded semi-annually, so twice a year. So our N is 2. So we're going to plug in different amounts. Our A will still be the accumulated amount. P is your principal, 44,000. 1 is a constant. Change your rate to a decimal. 4%. You are going to move your decimal 2 places to the left. This becomes 0.04. N is your compounding intervals. Semi-annually means 2 times a year. That goes here. It also goes here. T is your time in years, 24. Right? If I was doing it myself, I am a little more conservative. I would start in the parentheses. I would also figure out this exponent myself. So I would tend to control this order of operations. Okay. 2 times 24, I know, is 48. So I would have that in my head. All right. And I would do this starting with the fraction, 0.04 divided by 2, enter, plus 1, enter. That takes care of your parentheses. 1 0.02. All right, and I've already figured that out would be 48. Now, order of operations says do your exponent next. So I would do 1.02. I have that in my calculator already, to the 48 power. So I get that big number, 2.5870700385, but I'm not going to clear my calculator or anything. Now that is going to multiply by this. I'm just writing that all out so you could compare if you were checking yourself. All right, and I can hit times and it's still in there. 44000, enter. You want to always make sure that you are using your calculator correctly. Calculator is only as smart as the person pushing the buttons. All right, to the pennies place. This is the pennies place. The 7 is going to push you up, which is also going to push this one up. So we have one. Whoops, we'll just back it up there, make it look right. One, that's going to push us up here, and this is going to a 0. All right, now let's see if the calculator could do that and preserve the order of operations. All right, so if we started here and never hit enter, 44000, use the parentheses, 1 plus 0.04 divided by 2, close the parentheses, and I made an error just then, so I got to back it up. I hit a decimal instead of the 2. Close the parentheses. If I did not work out that 2 times 24, I would have to do that, all right, on the calculator. So I'm going to raise it to a power. I would have to put that math in parentheses. 2 times 24, close. If I hit enter now, I should get the right answer. 113831.097, which is what we had, and we rounded up. All right, so third part on this problem. So this time we have $10,000 to invest. That's our P. 20 years, that's our T. 2%, so a lower interest rate, and compounded quarterly. That's 4 times a year, so our N is going to be 4. So we're just going to plug in. So A is accumulated amount. P is our principal, 10,000. 1 is a constant in your formula. Your rate, you're going to switch it to a decimal, 2%. Your decimal's after. So 0.02 divided by N. Your N quarterly is 4. It's also up here. Your time is 20 years. And 20 times 4 will be 80. So we have 10000. If I was working this myself, you know Mrs. H is a little conservative. I would start in there and I would work this out in my head. So 4 times 20 is going to give me 80. And I would get my calculator. I do trust it a little bit. All right, so 0.02 divided by 4. I'm going to do that fraction first. Then I'm going to add the 1. So inside, I get 1.005. Then you need to do your exponent. Now, I've already done the math for the exponent. So to the 80th power, and I hit enter. Now, I'm going to take that whole answer, which is this 1.49033858, and you wouldn't have to write that down, right? And now I'm going to do that whole answer times the 10,000. So it's still sitting in my calculator. 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Enter. And I get 14,903.38. All I need to see is the 5. 5 is going to push me up. So 14903.39. All right, let's try it strictly on the calculator from the beginning. So I could just type it all in if I'm careful. 10,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.02 divided by 4. Close the parentheses. To the power. You need parentheses because you have math there. 4 times 20. Close. Never hit enter. Now hit enter. 14903.38. Your 5 is going to push you up. And it did take care of order of operations. All right, the last part on this problem, we have 49,500. That is our principal. 21 years, that is our time. 11% is our rate, compounded annually. So only one time a year, so our N is 1. And we want to find the accumulated amount. So we're looking for A. Our principal, 49,500. 1 is a constant. Our rate, 11%. So drop your percent, move that decimal 2 places to the left. Right? Because it's compounded annually, our N equals 1. I'm going to go ahead and write the 1, even though I really wouldn't have to there. I'd rather show all the steps. All right? Also, you have a 1 up here. And our time is 21 years. So that's all the pieces plugged in. All right? So I would go ahead myself and I would do the 1 times 21 is going to be 21. I would work this out, 0.11 divided by 1, and I get the same thing back, plus my 1, and that finishes my parentheses. So if I was doing it by hand, that is what I would get, 1.11, and that is to the 21st power times 49,500. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and raise it to the 21st power. So I'm doing this piece, and I get 8.949165805, and then I will do that times 49500. And this is what I have left. 4429. And this doesn't look right. Four 2983. Okay, it's okay. I was thinking it's smaller than that, but no, it has an extra digit there. 7074. Okay, here's your pennies place. The 7 is going to push us up. So 442983.71. All right, let's see if we can trust the calculator from the very beginning. 49500. Parentheses 1 plus 0.11 divided by 1. Close the parentheses. To the parentheses 1 times 21, close. Enter. 442983.70, and your 7 would push you up.